largest economy in the next 15 years.
A bleak outlook for the world in 2023, a think tank says higher borrowing costs could push the global economy into recession next year.
And local telcos and renewable energy are seen as among the hot sectors for the M&A space in the country next year. As SIM registration officially kicks off today, Filipinos now have a few months to register their SIMs or find them eventually deactivated.
And while telco companies caution against letting scammers pull a fast one on you amid the registration's rollout, authorities also warn against those planning to fake their registration. Gerard de la Peña with the report.
Filipinos are now required to register their SIMs with their network providers. SIMs yet to be sold have also been deactivated. Stakeholders concede that getting details for the registration of over 156 million active SIMs will not be an easy task. But telco companies assure the public that they are more than ready for SIM registration.
Talaga pinaghandaan ng ating team, yung ating smart marketing team. We've been in touch, no? All through the holidays. So, malaki ang kumpiyansa natin na maging successful ang ating unang araw sa pag-SIM registration.
Subscribers will need to visit their network provider's official platforms to process their registration. However, some users have their own concerns about the process.
Hindi ko lang alam kung paano. Yung anak ko, sinabihan ko na nung isang araw. Sabi ko, paano yun?
Opo, paano po ma-restriction yung SIM card ko kasi wala po akong valid ID. So hindi ko magagamit po yung yung katulad dito, yung account ko, ganun. Yung Facebook ko, yung communication ko sa pamilya ko.
Authorities said that those who cannot do it online can go to the nearest telco office or store. Those who do not have valid IDs may also use their NBI clearance or police clearance as proof of identity. Aside from the registration process itself, telco companies also express concern over registration scams. Smart Communications advised the public to be cautious of text messages with fake URLs for SIM registration. Globe likewise reminded the public to make sure that the registration links are correct.
Very worrisome problem kasi it's alam mo naman yung mga medyo masasamang loob, naghahanap pa rin ng paraan para makapag-gawa ng yung dating gawin nila, no? So it's a cat and mouse game usually sa mga talaga. Dapat talaga doon lang sa website.
Existing users are given 180 days to comply with SIM registration. This means users who fail to register their SIMs before the deadline on April 26, 2023 will have their SIMs deactivated. But under the laws implementing rules and regulations, the registration can be extended by up to 120 days. The government also warned against using fake information during registration.
We will make sure na kung may mga tao po na mga ngahas na gamitin yung fake information, fake IDs, na mapaparusahan po sila. Because after the initial registration process, we will conduct a post-verification process, meaning just to confirm the identity.
For News 5, Gerard de la Peña, we are One News.
Accounting firm PwC Philippines expects higher investor confidence in emerging industries, particularly in telecommunications and renewable energy for the M&A space next year. Hot sectors also include insurance, logistics, and agriculture. On their year-end report on mergers and acquisitions, PwC Philippines says deals with foreign investors are seen to climb in 2023 amid changes in regulations in these sectors. The country is estimated to require as many as 4,000 new telco towers yearly. Meanwhile, renewable energy companies are expected to increase their investments in alternative energy because of the moratorium on coal plants and declining sources of coal. While there's buying opportunity in the Philippines, much still needs to be done to bring the country's mergers and acquisitions industry at par with our neighbors. To get insights, we have Roderick Danao, Chairman and Senior Partner over at PricewaterhouseCoopers Philippines. Sir Rick, good day. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right, again, so one of the things that bolstered at least the M&A space would have to be you have some major amendments here, major measures that were put in place, particularly amendments when it comes to retail trade liberalization, foreign investments, and public services. Are these already at work? I mean, is the country's M&A space already benefiting from this? Just give us an idea, how robust exactly is the M&A landscape here in the Philippines?
No, absolutely. When we talk about, for instance, the telco industry, let me just give you an example, the common tower policy of the government. This will enable the telco companies to expand their network, mobile operations across the country without investing individually in towers. And these are massive investments for all telcos. So we know that, for instance, that PLDT and Globe have both announced a combined sale of their towers. I think more than 12,000, 14,000 towers already up for sale or already sold. And the value of these deals is definitely will be more than 150, 170 billion pesos. So these are massive investments in the telco industry, and we expect more because as a country, we need more telco towers. If you compare Philippines with Vietnam, for instance, Vietnam has 90,000 telco towers at the moment. We only have less than 25,000. So as Edge pointed out in their report, we need at least 4,000 of telco tower rollout consistently in the next 4 to 5 years for us to be able to increase the quality of our mobile service providers.
But
so that's on the telco side, right? On the renewable energy side, we think that the amendment to the Renewable Energy Act of 2008 will boost investor interest in renewable energy in the Philippines, because now our rules and laws allow 100% ownership of renewable energy power generation assets in the Philippines. Those that are used in they call it in exhaustible source of energy can now be owned by 100% by foreign investors. So this will certainly boost the interest of foreign investors in the country, especially in building renewable energy in the Philippines, which is what we need for us to transition to clean energy as part of our commitment to the under the UN Sustainability Development Goals.
Okay, so very interesting, two key sectors here to be watching out for. But sir, let's take a step back and give us an idea, how big is the M&A industry here in the Philippines? As per your report, correct me if I'm wrong, we're ranked 86th globally when it comes to M&A opportunities. We're still lagging behind our other neighbors. What are the bottlenecks here? And have we, like you mentioned, there's a lot of opportunity. Have we addressed these? What is your expectation, especially in a post-COVID world?
We don't have a ready market data at the moment, unfortunately, of how big the market would be, because it all depends on the willingness of the Filipino companies, how much equity stake will they give up. For example, in the logistics sector that we mentioned in our report, we see a lot of our clients locally trying to seek joint venture partnership with foreign companies for them to expand their operations and expand their footprint, invest in more assets. We have seen at the moment, for instance, a number of logistics companies trying to enter into a JV with even local listed companies for them to be able to raise capital and increase their presence all over the Philippines. So there is no data at the moment that would suggest how big these deals would be, because it all depends on the willingness of the Filipino companies insofar as expansion and capital needs are concerned. So it all depends on the market, to be honest.
Okay, let's take a look back over the past year. What for you were the most exciting and interesting deals that we've had? And more to that point, what else is in the pipeline here?
I would say the most interesting deal would be the telco deal, because this, as you know, as a Filipino, my dream for the country is for us to have reliable, credible, and dependable and quality network service all over the country. And the common telco tower policy is a big step toward that objective, because now each telco can expand their footprint nationwide without having to deal or having to erect their own respective telco tower. So very exciting deal for all of us, and these deals are massive. It helps also the incumbent telcos finance their ongoing expansion program in fiber to the home network and even the 5G rollout for them again to improve the overall quality of their services to the Filipino people, for them to support also the economy of the country.
Okay. Now, sir, we usually only see those big acquisitions, no? That's the one we report about in the news. And you have you also have the banking sector, for example, MUFG, Sumitomo in our two banks here. But what about the small, medium-sized companies? What type of acquisitions, mergers are going on here? Are these domestically, becoming consolidated, or are the big companies starting to break up?
Yeah, very interesting point. We cannot cite, the specific names. But for now, we are helping a lot of clients in manufacturing, logistics, raise capital through M&A.
Okay.
So very, very interesting, because many Filipino companies now find the value of having a more sustainable business as opposed to them managing the business themselves. So they find it, I would say, aspirational for them to be, number one, a listed company in the Philippines, and number two, have a strategic partner for them to help them expand their footprint in the country, expand their operations, create more business opportunities, not only for themselves, but also for their ecosystem that support their overall business environment. So there are a lot of companies right now seeking out partnership with a number of foreign companies, which we cannot name at the moment. But in due course, this will be reported. But we see a lot of Filipinos now stepping out and saying, we want to reach 5 billion, 10 billion in the next 5 years. We want to export our products. We want to have more R&D in the country so that we can create more products for the Philippines and also for export. So these are the common themes that we are hearing on the ground based on our conversations with our clients.
But what's it going to take in order for us to be at par with our neighbors here? Like Danie was pointing out earlier, we're still lagging behind the likes of Singapore, Indonesia, and Malaysia, 86 globally here. What's going to take us to the next level here?
I think, we cannot really compare ourselves with Indonesia because of their massive size, and even Singapore. But I think what we need to do as a country is, number one, to continue implementing policies that will is the doing of business in the Philippines. That's number one. Number two, we need to address some fundamental issues affecting our country. For instance, this perception about corruption, perception about how difficult it is in the Philippines even to get a license or a permit to build an office. So I think the national government and the local government have to work together to improve the ease of doing business in the Philippines, so that we can attract more investors into the country as part of our economic nation building.
Okay, and finally, sir, outlook for 2023. Is this going to be a major acquisition year, especially with all of the global headwinds, looming recession? What's going to be happening next year?
It would be, because irrespective of what's happening globally, we are a very resilient economy, and we know that. And we expect to grow by 6, 7, 8% sustained. In fact, as you just mentioned in your report earlier, we will be at the 27th largest economy by 2037. So that makes the Philippines a very attractive investment destination for many foreign investors, strategic investors at that. And I would say that the Philippines is one of the best in Asia in terms of investment destination because of our quality workforce, young demographics, and the overall economic fundamentals of the country.
All right, so hoping for an exciting year with deals on the table. Thank you so much, Roderick Danao, Chairman and Senior Partner over at PwC Philippines. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jes and Danie.
Now let's pause for a quick break, but coming right up after that. The country is poised to become the 27th largest economy in the world by the year 2037.
More of that and other stories when Business World Live returns. Stay with us.
You're still watching Business World Live here on One News. I'm Jes Delos Santos.
And I'm Danie, Laurel.
The country is projected to become one of the 30 biggest economies in the world by year 2037. That's according to a report by the global think tank Center for Economics and Business Research. In its latest World Economic League table, the think tank projected Philippine GDP to average 5% in the next 15 years. According to the report, the strong growth will propel the country as the 27th largest economy in 2037. That's 11 spots up from the 38th ranking in 2022. The report says the country will climb the ranking by finding a niche in the global value chain through reforms and boosting labor productivity. Electronics manufacturing is also seen to boost growth.
Now, motorists, you might want to take a good look before filling up because oil companies are implementing mixed adjustments on fuel prices this week. Now, effective today, December 27, diesel prices will see a 20 centavo decrease per liter. Gasoline, however, will be pricier by 95 centavos per liter, while kerosene prices will climb by 50 centavos per liter. This is the second week of price hikes for gasoline and kerosene. The increase in prices is attributed to a pickup in kerosene demand as well as low gasoline reserves in the United States. Meanwhile, lower demand due to the lockdown in China contributed to the rollback in diesel prices.
At least 13 people have been reported dead due to effects of the shear line that caused heavy flooding in several parts of Visayas and Mindanao. As of 5 a.m. today, 2 of these deaths have already been validated by the NDRRMC, both of which are from eastern Visayas. At least 7 of the unvalidated casualties were reported in Misamis Occidental, which was among provinces severely hit by heavy rains and flooding over the Christmas weekend. On Sunday, the local government of Misamis Occidental has already declared a state of calamity on the entire province. Though floods have begun to subside on Monday, Misamis Occidental Governor Henry Waminal tells the big story that many families remain in evacuation centers as floods cause damage on some homes, bridges, and establishments.
The Council recommended to the Sangguniang Panlalawigan for the declaration of the province into a state of calamity. Thereafter, passed a resolution declaring the province into the state of calamity. The second day, medyo mas nag-increase yung overflow ng tubig ng different riverbanks. Like for instance, in the city of Oroquita, that was unexpected. The Layawan River had increased its height to almost 4 feet. That was unexpected, that the water overflowed to the heart of the city.
The world could face recession in 2023 as higher borrowing costs aimed at tackling inflation caused a number of economies to contract. The Center for Economics and Business Research says in its annual World Economic League table that the global economy surpassed $100 trillion for the first time in 2022. But this is expected to stall next year as policymakers continue their fight against soaring prices. The report warns that the cost of bringing inflation down to more comfortable levels is a poorer growth outlook for a number of years to come.
More U.S. law firms said they would investigate PLDT's possible violations of federal securities laws after it disclosed a 48 billion peso budget overrun. On December 23rd, New York-based Kirby McInerney announced that they are conducting an investigation which aims to find whether PLDT violated federal securities laws or engaged in other unlawful business practices. On December 20th, Robbins, Geller, Rudman, and Dowd also announced a probe into, quote, potential violations, with a focus on whether PLDT and some of its executive officers provided false and misleading statements to investors. The Shaw law firm says it would also look into PLDT. The budget overrun reported by PLDT represents 12.7% of its 379 billion peso capex over the past 4 years. The company earlier said that it is undertaking a management reorganization process to address weaknesses. Businessworld says it is still awaiting comment from PLDT on the matter.
And those are the biggest stories on the economic and corporate front today. I'm Jes Delos Santos.
And I'm Danie, Laurel. We are One News, all sides, all the time. But don't go away, we'll give you the latest on the local boards when Business World Live returns. Stay with us.
And you're still watching Business World Live here on One News. Now, Dan, this is it. No more inbound quarantine protocols in China. So should we be expecting a
tourists?
travel ban here?
Oh, I know. Get ready, Boracay, no? So like you mentioned, a lot of optimism here, especially if you take a look at the Chinese stocks, no? And finally, they announced that by January 8th, there will be no more quarantine. Right now, it's 5 days in hotel plus 3 days at home. And, investors are seeing that this will likely benefit a lot of countries in Asian region, especially us, hopefully. Even crude oil jumped on that sentiment from the rollback of the COVID isolation. And let's take a quick peek at whether or not we are following suit. Recall just that yesterday was holidays here in the Philippines. Some markets are still closed. Hong Kong is still closed today, for instance. We do seem to have a bit of a pullback. We're at 6,500 levels today. And this, as analysts are saying, that we may be moving sideways. This is the last trading week of the year. It's a shortened trading week. It's just until the 29th, Jess. But so far, we've declined by 3.5% in the month of December. We were hoping for a Christmas rally, but that didn't happen. But then again, we did gain 10.2% in November. 2TradeAsia.com is saying we could retest 6,600 and 68 levels by the year end.
But of course, telcos will be in focus today, Dan, the start of the SIM registration. But at the same time, you now have some users complaining that they can't actually access the site.
Reminding your users here, they have 180 days naman. So, na-excite naman yung registration for today. So, let's see how that goes. And despite all of those headwinds, and despite, of course, what we were reporting over PLDT, I mean, some investors still picking up that stock. It's the best performing at the moment, 1.6% up. Globe Telecom, meanwhile, going down by 1.5%, Jess. And this, just a couple more analyst comments on the telco stock here, PLDT. This, according to Jafet Tantiangco of PhilStocks, the irregular spending behind that was a desire to regain leadership, prepare for threats from new players. And this, according to Carlos Temporal, he says that the sentiment may not recover significantly without any substantial changes in top management. So a lot of things to be watching out for here regarding that shuffling. And like you mentioned, paano paano na kaya yung SIM registration? Will that, cause more chaos, or will that be improving the system, especially when it comes to the scams?
But again, they have 180 days, but at the same time, be careful. Wag daw magpapaloko doon sa mga ibang links. So at the same time, do not fake your registration.
Oo, wag naman. Sana.
So that's it for today, December 27, 2022. Join us again tomorrow at exactly 9:30 a.m. You can also catch us on Signal Play. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Jes Delos Santos.
And I'm Danie, Laurel. Stay safe, Philippines. We are One News, all sides, all the time.